Welcome to the Spa Girls podcast, the self-publishing podcast for authors. You're in the right place for the best writing, marketing, and publishing advice, plus interviews with industry experts and best-selling authors. I'm Cheryl Phipps.
I'm Wendy Vella.
And I'm Trudy J. And this week we have the delightful Skye MacKinnon with us. Hello,
Yay!
Skye.
Welcome. Welcome
Welcome.
back, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Skye was last with us in 2023, I think I worked out,
Yep.
and talking German translations. And you're again here today to talk about what's changed, updates in the whole industry around German translations. I'm just going to read out your bio quickly, and then we'll get right into the whole interview. So, Skye MacKinnon is a Scottish romance author who was raised by elves in the mystical Highlands and calls the Loch Ness Monster her friend, which is the best thing ever in a bio, by the way. She's been a full-time author since 2018 and has written 70 plus novels, including 50 adult novels and 20 children's books as Isla Winter. She's been an active member of the indie community, including being an admin for the Wide for the Win group, doing one-on-one consultations and speaking at conferences. Since launching her first German translations in 2020, her German books have been featured in hundreds of Thalia bookstores. I'm sorry if I butchered that, across the country. She's been also Tolino's Author of the Month, #1 in Apple Books Germany's free books, and won the Children's Book Award for the Tolino All-Star Favorites Award in 2025.
Wow. Very
Well done.
impressive.
Congratulations on all of
Thank
that.
Yes.
That all sounds very impressive.
It does. So let's so we had you, I think it was April 2023 last. Can you just update us on what's been happening for you and for your writing career since then? Just quickly.
Yeah, I mean, lots has happened, I guess. Both like in terms of my usual fiction works. I've done lots of fun things, lots of special editions, and lots of signings recently. I've just come back from one in Berlin, which was just and make a holiday out of it. And then I've had some new kids' books. I've launched 2 new pen names. Because clearly the existing ones weren't quite enough. There's never enough time in the day. And then last year I got started with the project of updating my guide on German translations because I realized it was hopelessly out of date. And then realized it was a much bigger project than I'd planned and estimated. And it ended up taking about 5 months of writing and researching and a Kickstarter campaign. And I'm so glad it's done. But yeah, lots of things. Yeah, there's always so much to
Busy
do.
girl.
Yeah,
Very
just
much
a couple
so.
of things.
How did the
Yeah.
Kickstarter campaign go? All right?
It went really well. It was my first one.
Yes.
I've been backing things on Kickstarters for, I don't know, probably as long as Kickstarter has been around.
Yeah.
So it was fun being on the other side of it. I got funded. I got more than my target, so that was really good. But I think the most valuable thing was just the support and the feedback from other authors and seeing that this was something that was that there was a demand for it and that people were excited about it. And
Yeah.
even just getting those messages like, when are you going to send the books? Because I really, really need this just now because I want to launch that translation. And that's like, on one hand, it's like, please give me the time. I can't do everything at once, but at the same time, it's like, it's really good to see that
Yes.
people are like
Yeah.
wanting this. So yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Plus, I've been able to talk to lots of great people like you guys and Joanna Penn, and I was on the Koba podcast last week, and I've been doing the whole
wow.
podcast circuit, and that's been really just fun talking, to other authors rather than just doing the reader-facing things.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it is cool, isn't it?
That's
Yeah.
very cool. Is it one thing that I'm curious about? Like, you've got this book specifically for German translations. Is there a reason that it needed to be specifically German and not just translations in general? Is it very different between the different languages?
There's some things that apply to all languages, I guess, which is like the chapters on how to find your translator and how to vet them and editing and things like that. But I think every market has quite specific requirements and differences, like covers, for example. German covers, especially in romance, are quite different from what we might be used to. And so, yes, I could just say, please research covers in your target market. But that would be a bit yeah,
Yeah.
lazy. So instead of doing that, I go in depth in a lot of those things. Same with different retailers because they've got Tolino, but they've got lots of other distributors and retailers and ways to get your books, both ebook, print, but also audio into stores. And so this book ended up being more than twice as long as the original, the first edition, which
Oh,
just
wow.
shows you just how much there is to talk about. And I could have gone
Yeah.
on if, but at some point it had to be published. So I wish other authors would be doing the same for other languages. I was almost
Yes.
tempted to like do one for French as well, but in German I speak the language and it's much easier that way because I can really do all the research and not rely on Google Translate or whatever. But yeah, I'm really hoping if anyone is listening to this, please do one for French, Italian, Spanish. Because I wrote this
Absolutely.
because I was missing that information. That's
Yeah.
why I wrote
Yeah.
the first edition because I couldn't find that kind of resource. And yes, there's courses and things, but I just learned the best by having a book in front of me. And so it was very much, yeah, a bit selfish to write this thing because I wanted to have it all in one place.
That's awesome.
I think it's a great idea.
So let's go to the German market versus, say, the English-speaking markets, maybe US, UK being probably the main two markets. What are the main differences between them? Like, does it work very differently, or is it just the same but different?
There's definitely
make sense?
similarities, of course. But I think there's also like big differences that we might not always think of, even because, yeah, we're just not aware. So one thing, for example, in Germany, print books are still really important, and they love their gorgeous special editions. And it's not even special editions. As I said, I was just in Berlin and I went into several bookstores and it was so tempting because you just see all these tables full of sprayed edges and foiling, and they've been doing that for much longer. And it's not like indies doing that for events, for like signings. No, it's like every bookstore has tables and tables of gorgeous special editions. It's mostly romance, although it's coming in fantasy, even crime. I saw some really cool crime sprayed edges. So yeah, I just wanted to buy the entire store pretty much. It was hard because my suitcase was basically full already. But that's one thing. And print books are still important. And there's also that culture of going to a bookstore and browsing and not quite knowing what you're actually there for. And so having people who know their stuff there and you can ask and get a recommendation. And I think that's a big thing. But also in terms of ebooks, Amazon isn't the biggest player, or at least they kind of joined first. Amazon doesn't like to share numbers, and some of the other stores don't either. So it's hard to know. But like from estimates that I found in various places, Amazon has about 40 to 45% of the German ebook market. But the Tolino Alliance has pretty much the same amount. So
Yeah.
we are all used to Amazon being the big player.
Yeah.
While in Germany, and I see that in my own sales, I have more sales outside of Amazon than I do on Amazon. And not because my Amazon sales are bad, it's just the other ones are stronger.
Yeah.
And so the thing in Germany is the Tolino Alliance, the retailers there, when they saw that Amazon was growing really fast and was a threat to traditional booksellers, they got together, lots of them got together and created this alliance, which I think
Brilliant.
is a really cool concept. I wish
Yeah.
they'd done that in
Yeah.
lots of
Yeah.
other countries because
Yeah.
that way they had the strength to do it, and they all pitched in. They developed this ecosystem for ebooks together, which is Tolino. They have their own e-readers, but they also let independent bookstores take part. So you can now go to an indie bookstore's website and buy ebooks and then read them on your Tolino, and they use the same system, and so you can support
Wow,
your
that's
indie
so cool.
bookstore
Yeah.
but also get it on the ecosystem that you're already used to. So I love that. And I wish they'd done it here in the UK and US and everywhere because it's cool for readers, but also for authors because we've got like this one platform that is really strong, but they're also kind of, yeah, friendlier and more predictable than Amazon.
And
Yes.
competition is good in any market, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the differences. Covers I already mentioned. Their quality is so important. And I think people have been like the readers, they have been jaded for years with bad translations. And so even from trad publishing, even way before indie publishing was a thing, they were bad trad translations. And or publishers would only put out book one in a series and never continue, and
Yeah.
they'd be left on a cliffhanger and never get the conclusion. So readers there are definitely a bit more wary of translations, which is not something I've ever noticed here really, because we don't get that many translations in English. Like, or if we don't notice, I don't really look at if this
Yeah.
book has been translated. It's just sounds good, I'll read it.
Yeah.
So there's a slight mindset shift there. Pricing is another thing. They are willing to pay much more than in other markets. Again, because as long as they get quality, they're willing to pay for it. It's both for print, but also for ebooks. You'll see that you can easily price $1 or $2 more than you would your English original, and it doesn't matter. So yeah, those are just a few. I mean, I could talk about this for ages, but
And what is the print market you think is quite strong over there?
yes, definitely. And even so, I write a Skye. I write a lot of weird romance with monsters and aliens, and they don't sell that many print books in English. Special editions, yes, but like box standard paperbacks don't sell that many. While in Germany, I see a lot more print sales. So when I started seeing that trend, I just made it like a rule for myself from the start to always have a print edition for my books, even though in English I'd almost doubt that sometimes. Should I be doing this?
Yeah.
Because even for like novellas or something where it's like, is it really worth it? I always do it in the end because I feel like, okay, there might be even just that one reader who wants to have my little novella on their bookshelf. But
Yeah.
in Germany, it really is worth it. It's just different. Like most authors in the English-speaking market will use Amazon for their paperbacks and then probably IngramSpark to get into the bookshops and other retailers. In the beginning, that used to be like that. And in my first edition, I still said, use IngramSpark. And then they changed things because in Germany, they have a fixed price law. So, which basically just says your book has to be the same price in all stores. It's so that Amazon can't just discount it and the other stores have it at full price. I think it's not a bad law, to be honest.
Yeah.
But IngramSpark kept going against it. And so at some point, the German retailers were like, enough is enough. And they blocked IngramSpark's books from their shops. So while in the beginning, you would get your books in Thalia, which is the biggest bookstore chain, if you had them on Ingram, now you don't. And so when that first happened, it was like, what am I going to do now? Because I want my print books out there and I don't just want to rely on Amazon. And luckily, Tolino, who have a really good self-publishing platform, introduced print books. And they get you into all those places now, which is great. There's a few things there. Upload is a bit different from what we might be used to, but once you've done it a few times, you just get used to it.
Yeah.
But that's now the one way to get your print books out there. There's a few other distributors in Germany, but some of them want rights, like audiobook rights, even though you're uploading your print book, or they want exclusivity. And I'm wide with all my heart. I don't want exclusivity in any aspect of my business. So no, that was a no. So Tolino is the best route now to get your print books out there.
Can I just ask, do you actually translate your own books as you speak German? No.
My German it's not bad, but the grammar is not where it used to be. Plus, I notice that every time I go to Germany, the kind of colloquial language, the slang, mine is 16 years in the past because that's when I last lived in Germany. So when my sister starts talking in like language that she uses in primary school, so she hears a lot of children's slang, and I don't understand half of those words. So if I wanted to translate it, I'd have to like really immerse myself in the language again.
Yeah.
I will sometimes edit my books because I can tell if a sentence sounds good or not. But no, I leave my translations to professionals who actually live there and know what they're doing.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you do your own but you could do like blurbs or posts on Facebook and things like that? For yourself. Do you think it's okay if you don't speak German? Is it easy to kind of manage all the stuff that you do?
Definitely. I mean, I do translations in other languages too. I've got French and Italian, and I speak some French, but not enough to write an entire blurb or something, or like a social media post without wondering whether the grammar is right. And I don't speak a single word of Italian. So I've got the perspective of doing it without knowing the language, which I think helps.
Yes.
Because it is a lot harder, obviously. I can't lie about that. It's much easier if I can just sit down and write a blurb versus having to have someone else translate it or use AI or whatever you want to do. But it is very possible. And something I realized a bit too late almost is that I actually have all the content there already. Like when I published my English book, I sent out newsletters about this book. I did social media posts. So I can just look, what did I post on Facebook at that time and
Yeah.
translate that. I don't have to rewrite everything from scratch.
Mm.
And that's something that it took way too long. I
Yeah.
was basically reinventing the wheel all the time and trying to remember, oh, what was that character called again? And what was the main tropes in that book? Because I may have written that book 6 years ago. And so I didn't really remember, but it was a new release in German. And so actually, no, you've got all that content. So now I just look at what did I do back then, translate it, and maybe add a sentence or two just to put it into context or something. But that's pretty much it. And that makes it a lot easier and faster.
That's exactly what I do with my
Mhm.
German stuff. I just use whatever I've used in the newsletter for the English and then
Yeah.
just translate it. But I do also, add that, I am an English speaking person and German is not. And so I will say that I have actually done this, had this translated to do.
Mhm.
So if there's any issues, well, they love it. They always come back to me and go, oh, you got this right or you got that wrong. It's quite funny. They
Oh, yes.
almost enjoy it,
It's quite funny. It's that human nature thing of wanting to
Yeah,
correct or
yeah.
wanting to, but also help,
yeah.
right? Like they're kind of doing it in a
Exactly. It's a
Mhm.
fun
nice
thing,
way.
Yeah.
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 Plus you get interaction out of it, which is
Yeah,
always a good
Yeah.
thing. So
yeah, exactly.
So that you mentioned the IngramSpark thing about how that's no longer where you the best place to do your print books. What are some of the other things that have changed since you first put out that book in 2021, I think you said? Yeah.
yeah, staying with Tolino, they just introduced audiobooks a few weeks before my Kickstarter launch. So last time they introduced print books a few weeks after my first edition launched, and I was so furious.
Yeah.
So this time I wrote about 80 emails to different, like pretty much every company that is featured in this book got an email asking, are you planning to introduce any new features? Because I have been burned before. I don't want this book to be out of date basically a week after publication. And this time I did get a heads up. And to be fair, the Tolino team is amazing. I've met them at a conference in Germany last year, and it's nice to like have that. They're a bit like Kobo. If you've worked with Kobo
Yeah.
before,
They're
they're such a
great.
lovely team. And I've like
Yeah.
spent like emails back and forth talking about the books we're reading and things like that. So like they love books and they're
Yeah.
really nice to work with. But
Yeah.
yeah, they've now got audiobooks. And again, it was quite hard before to get your audiobooks into certain stores. Yes, there's InAudio. I always want to say Find Away Voices. No, InAudio.
Yeah, in audio now. Yeah.
Yeah, and they can get used into lots of places, including some German retailers. I mean, of course, most of the international ones are in Germany too, like Spotify and Audible and all that. But then the Tolino Alliance, you couldn't reach that with InAudio, and they've got their own audiobook system. And yes, there were other ways, but to be fair, there was one platform I tried, and I'm pretty technical. I'm pretty good with all that. And I was just about to throw my laptop out of the window. It was awful, and I gave up. And that's not something that happens very often, at least not when it comes to like technical bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But I actually gave up. It was awful.
Horrible. Yeah.
So yeah, when Tolino introduced that, it was just like, yay, now we can finally do audiobooks in Germany, much easier too, because um they're more expensive to do because, yeah, books are generally going to be a bit longer there because Germans use more words or longer words. So your translation is always going to be a bit longer than the original. But also the way people talk, it's just your audiobook always ends up longer than the English one would.
Yeah.
And so it costs more. Plus, I found narrators, they're more expensive to, on average anyway. And so by leaving out like the entire Tolino Alliance, I was like, well, actually, it's going to take much longer now to make my money back on these audiobooks if I'm missing out this huge part. And now we no longer do. So things like that are really handy. But obviously, like one of the big things that's also changed is AI since last time, because
Yeah.
back when I wrote the first edition, there was DeepL was already around, and it was okay to like maybe do blurbs, or if you speak the language, to like do a sentence and then
Good with
adjust
it.
it slightly. But of course, now it's an entirely different picture. And so many authors are using AI translations. And so I've now got an entire section in the book because I just couldn't ignore that. And I've got both sides. I've got like a translator who gave me her still quite critical view on it, but to be fair, it's taking their jobs too. So
Yeah.
yeah, obviously she'd be critical, although she did read several samples I gave her from different AIs. So it wasn't just a kind of knee-jerk reaction, all AI is bad. It was actually like looking at the grammar in those samples and things. So that was really helpful to have a professional actually look at it, not just me as a reader and author, but still it's different when it's a translator. So yeah, there's lots moving, and everything is getting better. And I think we're at a stage now where definitely AI translation is a tool that can be worth it if you use it correctly. But of course, there's so many facets to that discussion with ethics and
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it something where you would use both, like human narrator for one version and AI for another, or you're not?
I've experimented with AI translation, but got slightly burned. So I had a new pen name which was like an experiment, really. I didn't expect it to do very well. And so I was like, well, my translator is busy doing my Skye MacKinnon books, and they will always be human translated. And so I thought, okay, let's just do this quickly with AI. I can always edit it myself. And I did. And I skimmed the book. It was kind of okay, but I was just about to go on holiday, so I didn't pay enough attention to it. Big mistake. And I published it. And because I had done so well with branding, I got lots of pre-orders, I got lots of sales. People loved the cover and the blurb and the concept, but hated the translation. And so
Oh. Mm.
that was, yeah, I was on holiday and I got the first reviews coming in, and I sat down and went over it while on holiday, sentence by sentence, edited everything properly, republished it, and suddenly everything was fine again. But I had that big dip in reviews, and that was not nice.
No.
So lesson learned. And while I was writing the book, I tried lots of different tools. And there's definitely lots that are at a good stage, but I think pretty much all of them still need a human touch. They still need like and I don't want to say proofread, because a lot of people are saying they are having their translation proofread, but it doesn't need a proofread because AI doesn't really do typos. It actually needs like an edit to see sentence structure and vocabulary and just, yeah, would a German person say it like that? Because quite often they don't.
Yeah.
It's definitely become a lot better. Like you very rarely now see things like steamy being translated into dumpfig, which is like a cooking term. Like my kitchen is steamy. You would never say that for romance. In the beginning with AI translation, you saw that all the time. Same with spicy, and they'd use a term that you use like for this pepper is spicy, but not for this book. You can't use that word. But you saw that all the time because AI didn't know that
Yeah.
you can't use these terms for romance, for heat levels. And that's getting less. And I know lots of authors who don't edit their books and just put them out there and who do well. I think it depends on what your target is. And if you want that long-term sustainability where you don't get any bad reviews and you get that read through and where you get those long-term fans and newsletter subscribers and just basically the same thing that I want for my English books.
Yeah.
And that's been my sort of aim. I want my German translations, but also my French and my Italian ones to be just as good as the English ones, and then putting a similar amount of effort in with like doing research for covers and finding out how the formatting is done over there and where to publish it. And so you can do it different ways. I know lots of people who just don't have the time, don't want to put any
Yeah.
energy into it. They just put the translations out there and forget about them. But not everyone wants it like that.
No.
And does it actually work like that? Like I feel like German is going to be like the English market where you still have to put some effort into marketing, right? Like, so if you just put
Yeah.
you do a translation, bung the book up on the German sites, and then you ignore it, then are
I
you
think
going to
there's
magically make sales?
outliers.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some outliers where, especially if you're in KU, where people are always more willing to forgive something because they don't feel like they spent money on this. So if there's a few typos in there or a few weird phrases, they might just read over that and continue on to the next book. If you're wide, there always has to be a bit more quality control because people have just spent $5.99, $6.99 of their hard-earned money and want that quality that they expect for that price. So I think it can work, especially if you have a big backlist and therefore, and INKU, and that way you can stimulate the algorithms all the time. You don't even need to do that much advertising because you don't fall off the cliffs because you have releases all the time. That is one strategy that can work. But I think if you don't have a huge backlist and if you want to be wide, or if you want to experiment with different publishing strategies, then you do have to put a bit more effort in. Now, I don't run ads to my books, so it is definitely possible to do it without paid ads. But I do things like Tolino's retailer promos. They do promos that are free. Sadly, they don't have a dashboard yet, like Kobo or Barnes& and Noble, so you do actually have to email them. But they're great. I email them every time I have a new release, and they will tell me, we'll put you in that newsletter, and we'll put you on that carousel, and we'll do that for you. And occasionally they'll just ask, we've got a, let's say, alien romance promo coming up. Are you willing to discount one of your books for that? Or if I release a third book in a series, I might ask them, can I reduce my first book, put it on sale? So those are really good. There is
If you're someone who's new, sorry to interrupt you, Skye. If you're someone who's new coming into translations and into the German market, is that going to be accessible to you? Like, can you email Tolino and ask?
Yep, anyone can email them. They speak perfect English. They love speaking English because they're like a lot of Germans. They want to practice their English. We just had that when we went to Germany for a signing. I took my partner with me who doesn't speak much German, but he wanted to try his German, but everyone was trying to speak English to him because they all wanted to practice their English. So it kept being that little battle of like, which language should we speak now? But yeah, Tolino, they speak English. Their dashboard is only in German, but with any kind of browser-based translation tool, I know lots of people who use it without any issue, who don't speak a word of German. So yeah, you just email them. The thing is with them is you kind of have to show the initiative. You have to go to them, you have to email them, but just send them an email and explain who you are and give them a bit of a background of what you've already achieved in English. Because I think as soon as they know that you've done the effort of actually sending them an email, that's already a plus point for you. But also you might have that many sales in English, or you've been on bestseller list, or you've got that many reviews. That all is like plus points that count in your favor. And the more often you email them, the more likely it is that they will actually come to you at some point too and say like, we've got this promo and we know you write that kind of books. They will quite often tag me on Instagram, like where they do themed posts. So one of my kids' books, they just did one for mental health, and I've got a book about depression, a picture book. And so they tagged me in there and had my book included without me knowing before. So they keep doing that. So if you're on their radar and they know the kind of books you write, they will promote you because, yeah, they make money by us making money in the end.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
Very cool.
promotion is like, you can do it without spending money. There is Buchdeals, which is the German BookBub. It is much smaller than BookBub and not as effective, but it's kind of the only big site there. There's a few others. And I, again, as research, I tried every single one for them because I tried them back when I wrote the first edition and wasn't impressed and just stuck with Buchdeals. And this time I did them all again. And again, to be honest, I'm going to stick with Buchdeals again, which is sad because I would love to have more options in terms of promotion. Like if I have a freebie or a sale, I would like to submit them to lots of sites, but I didn't get the ROI that I wanted. So, but yeah. A lot of people ask me if they have to kind of do social media in the other language. And if you really want to, of course. And BookTok is growing in Germany. It's huge. So especially if you're good with TikTok and you can just translate your content again. Yeah, very good. but it's also possible to do without.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many hours in the day, and we all know that problem.
Exactly.
That's it, isn't it? You've got to niche down and just do what works, because otherwise you just go a bit crazy,
Exactly.
don't you? Yeah.
Are there any
Yeah, it's all about prioritizing.
are there any genres in particular that do well in German?
Yes, I mean, romance in general, basically, you can't really go wrong with romance. Funnily enough, anything to do with Westerns.
Oh,
Germany has a huge culture of
Wow.
Westerns.
Really?
Um, and I spoke to Draft to Digital as part of the research, and they said, I think, was it 80% or even more of all the sales in the Western category via Draft to Digital are from Germany, which is like huge
wow.
looking at the size of Germany
Yes,
compared to
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So if you write anything like that, oh yes. Um, but
What about
also
the
they love
fantasy?
anything. Fantasy, yep, definitely. Romantasy as well. Anything with a clear location, especially if it's an island or something that's exotic for a German, which is basically anything that isn't Germany. So, which is something I always like to highlight. If your book is set in New Zealand or New York City or Scotland, make that super clear in your blurb, but even on your cover. If you look at German covers, especially a contemporary sort of fiction, a lot of them will have the location front, right, and center because Germans want that escapism of going to an island or into the mountains or, yeah, somewhere far away. The one thing you have to be a bit careful with is obviously anything like war related.
Yes.
And I once had an author who did a consultation with me who had a romance set in World War II where every German was kind of portrayed as a bad guy,
All right.
which
Yeah.
didn't sell as well as
I'd
it may have
imagine
No.
done in
not.
other markets.
No.
Um,
Yeah.
so a bit of common sense, I think, will help just by if it's something that is clearly like where Germany or Germans are not portrayed in
A
the
good light.
best light.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can be critical, and if you write nonfiction about the wars, of course, like Germans know that like they have a history, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's certain topics you just have to be a bit more
Yes.
careful with.
What about cozy mysteries? I have to ask
Yep,
for a friend.
definitely. I think there aren't many genres that don't really sell over there, but
Right.
sometimes you will have to adjust your cover, for example, slightly to go with the trends.
Yeah.
That's something in contemporary romance, for example, a lot of in English books you see man chest everywhere. The sexier the better, or if it's billionaires, men in suit. But it's pretty much a lot of people on covers. Yes, in the special editions you have all the
Yeah.
prettiness. In Germany, you don't see a lot of people on the covers for some genres, and so. But they're all about the gorgeous covers, pastels, flowers. It's all like a piece of art basically on your shelf, which is why it's so hard to go into a German bookstore. And even like my partner who doesn't read romance, he was standing in front of the romance shelf and just like wanting to just to take home and have on our shelf and look good. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now I want
so
to
yeah,
go into a
aesthetics
German
are
Yeah, I want to
important.
go too.
Yeah.
I'm
Do
feeling
you?
very jealous that I can't
So
go.
where do you do special editions for your Germans?
I did one now. So the problem is that at the moment there's no easy way of printing
Right.
special editions
Okay.
over there.
Now that Ingram's
Um,
not there. Yeah.
and Book Vault, if I mean, I have Book Vault on my store, and I sometimes have Germans who order there, and they get a dropship from Book Vault, but they have to pay import taxes, and so
Right.
that's something that is not very nice.
Right.
And until either Book Vault or someone else has a print on demand that does sprayed edges and prettiness, I'll do that. I do have one new edition, which has forced edges in German, um, where so I can print it in Tolino and KDP, which is, I think, very pretty, but it's not quite the same that German readers are used to with all the colors and foiling, and they're a bit spoiled there. And it's hard for us as indies to copy that because we just don't have that infrastructure of having a printer who can do print on
Yeah.
demand with all these features.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
yeah,
There you go.
for
Anyone
future
listening?
signings, I'll definitely invest in more German special editions too.
Yeah.
Mm.
So was that rare, the
Yes.
signing you went to in Berlin? So did you have English and German versions of all your books, or did you just have German ones? How did you?
I had both. It was really hard to decide like what to take because
Yeah,
my
yeah.
pre-orders were mostly English ones. Um, but I'd been to a different German signing, I think in autumn sometime, yeah, October. Um, and there it was all German books. And a few were like, okay, I'll get your the original on my Tolino or on my Kindle. But the paperbacks I sold were pretty much all German. So I had two
Ah,
very opposing sort of data streams. In the end, I had everything on my pre-order form, and then I took about half German, half English. In the end, a lot more English books sold than German books
yeah,
because I think
interesting.
most people who speak enough English wanted to read the original. But to be fair, the Rare audience is a very international one. And
Yes.
there were lots of people who came from all over Europe and even further. There were some readers who'd come all the way from America who'd come to Berlin just for the Rare signing. They were literally there just for
Wow.
that one weekend. And I asked, like, are you going to do a big holiday out of this? No, we're flying back again on Monday. It was like, wow, that's dedication.
Yeah.
So I think with Rare, it's a bit harder because they have that following and they will go from country to country.
Yeah.
And so there were so many languages at that event. It was amazing. Um, Lots of French people, or Scandinavians, Poland, Bulgaria. It was a wonderful mix. And I think because of that, a lot of English books were sold because not everyone even spoke German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was definitely, I was glad I had my German translations, and they definitely, some of them did sell. Um, in one series with a new pen name, actually, I did sell more German books because my covers were better or like more targeted at the German market, where I had kind of object covers while the English ones had man chest. And there you could really see they were all going for the object covers and looking at those first.
Yeah.
And some were asking, do you have these in like English too with those covers? So actually that's what I'm planning this autumn to redo that series with alternative covers too, because yeah, might be worth a try too.
It's really,
Yeah.
it
That's
is true. Yeah.
quite hard to do all of that
Oh
if
yeah,
you can't get them printed there, but you have to
yeah,
take them with you. I mean, it's a
Mm.
big decision anyway of how
The
many
cover
books to
thing's
take. But
huge.
yeah, yeah.
I had two sets of different covers that one I recently
Mhm.
did, and the younger people like this one, and the older people like this one.
Uh-huh.
It's quite
Yeah.
hard. You
Oh
don't
yeah,
know what to take or what to do. Yeah, it's quite hard.
exactly. There's
Yeah.
one author who I follow as a reader who did something really cool recently, and planning to do that. She had two different versions of the ebook in her store. So you could choose which cover you
Yeah.
wanted, and that
Right.
way, and I already had one of them and I actually bought the other one just because I wanted, and it was an ebook, but I wanted both of those covers on my Kobo. So, um,
Isn't
yeah,
that funny?
sometimes if you're a fan, you're a fan. So,
Yeah.
and I'm planning to do some of that, like to offer those alternate
Yeah.
covers, at least in ebook form in my store, and that way have that like as a special thing, as an exclusive thing.
Because you couldn't actually do that on KDP, could you? Because they
Yeah,
don't like the
no,
same content, no.
exactly.
Big
But in
store,
my
yeah,
store, I
the
can do
key.
whatever I want. So,
Yeah.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
very cool.
Wow.
Um, so is re so that's one example of reader behavior being different in Germany, like
Mhm.
the covers. Are there other things to like how they discover the books, the book reviews, or how they engage with authors? Are there differences there?
Yeah, there is a platform that is similar to Goodreads, but it's in German. It's called Lovely Books, and that is big there. And I highly recommend anyone who has German translations, even if you don't want to interact there, just make an account and an author account, and that way people can follow you and they get a notification whenever you release a new book. So it's a really simple, no cost way of getting some extra eyes on your book. And there's like big communities. There's Book Talk, as I already said, which is kind of similar as the English world, of course. Um, there's a lot of word of mouth for sure. Um, Libraries are still quite a big thing too, which I always love. I
Yeah.
used to
Yeah.
rely on libraries a lot, so it's like I want to support them as much as I can. And through Tolino, you can get into the German library system. And so I do get quite a lot of borrows there, which is always like, yay, when I see that in my
Yeah.
in my accounts. Um, I think a lot of it is quite similar. The signings thing, that was a bit different, where a lot of people were like, actually, I read everything digitally, so I actually don't want to buy any books here, or I didn't bring any books. I just wanted to meet the authors,
Yeah.
and get some bookmarks and stickers and swag. Um, but that was definitely something that I hadn't encountered that much at a signing, because when I've been to signings in the UK and in other English-speaking countries, it's usually been people being all about the books, like
Yeah.
the paper books, and wanting signatures. And um, well, in Germany, there were quite a lot of people who were just like, I only read ebooks. I don't care about this, but I just want to meet you as a
Yeah.
person. So that was cool as well.
Yeah.
But took some getting used to, um, because some of them were very like from the start, I have no interest in buying any book here, like very direct, very German. Don't even try to like sell me something because I am not interested, but I will download your books later on my
Wow.
e-reader. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And the
that
whole
was very
swag
different.
thing is quite mind-blowing as well, isn't it?
They
So
love
Mhm.
swag. Yeah.
the fact that
Oh,
you
yeah.
would have to have some in German, I imagine, like even your bookmarks and that you'd have to get translated and
Yes, so I did a few of them. In the end, it was about the same kind of popularity between English and German. So I'm
right.
glad I had some. I didn't go as overboard. Like I have an entire swag cabinet in my office because I love it so much. So
Yeah.
I didn't go as bad, because you should see I have got about 30 different stickers, I think, by now. Um, so yeah, I kept it to kind of low key, and stuck to just some, yeah, easy to do ones. But they were really popular, so yeah, definitely something to do, but
Wow.
yeah, restraint.
Wow. Good on you.
That's funny.
We're showing
Did-
restraint.
Do you, do you get much engagement with German readers, like not necessarily at a signing, but say maybe like emailing you or connecting with
Mhm.
you via social media?
Yeah. I don't get as much on social media as I do in my English language channels, but to be fair, I'm not that active, so I that's probably why. I do have a very engaged newsletter, and I wish I had my opening and click rates for my English newsletter that I have for my German newsletter. It's amazing. Um, so yeah, very good newsletter, and a lot of them will just reply too. And after Rare, I got lots of emails of, "Oh, I just subscribed because I saw you at Rare and you asked me to," or here's a picture of us. We met, and I never actually mentioned that I was in your newsletter. So they were like shy, but then I got the email afterwards. So I do get quite a lot through that. And then lovely books that the German Goodreads.
Yeah.
You can do these book clubs on there when you release a book where, yeah, you create a sort of virtual book club and readers can join and read your book and discuss it. And that's been amazing. Like the depth of discussion, people will write entire essays about their
Really?
thoughts,
Wow.
and like ask me questions. And that's been quite something, because yes, Goodreads has like this question features, but I don't know. To be fair, haven't checked in a while, but I don't get that many there.
No.
Uh, but on Lovely Books, there was so much interaction and yeah, just so much curiosity. Plus, I loved reading all their opinions on the books. Like they had all these theories about different characters that I had never even thought
That's
about.
so cool. That they're so
Um,
invested. That is
oh
amazing.
yes, very. Yeah, I think people are there can be very passionate over there, and I think if you're around, like if you do have that account on Lovely Books, if you have a newsletter, if you have any way for them to actually interact with you, they really value that. And it's fine, like not in my German, but in my French, when I have a disclaimer at every newsletter, sorry, I'm not a native speaker. If there's like an error in this email, it's just because,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not a native speaker, but my books have all been professionally translated and you won't find any errors in there. So I do always have disclaimers like that. And people are fine with that because, yeah, as I think they prefer us communicating with them than
Yeah.
not to do anything at all because we're too afraid of making a mistake.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So if someone hasn't actually gotten into translations yet and are
Hmm.
thinking about getting into the German market, is it still worth it now in 2026? Like, have they missed the boat or?
No, definitely not. Like with my new pen name, which I started that from scratch. I didn't have any crossover. Like I didn't tell my existing readers about it because I wanted to experiment. What's it like being a new author again? And so that pen name had 0 followers. It had nothing. I launched the first book in October, did quite a rapid release, and it became my most popular series at that time. and got up like some bestsellers and everything. It was
Wow.
amazing. So, and
Yeah.
that was like, yes, obviously I know what I'm doing now, so I've got some experience there. But as long as you do research and as long as you put that work into it, definitely still possible. Like German readers are so hungry for more books. And I think, yeah, as long as you don't just throw those books out there and hope for the best, but actually value the readers there. And I think that's the thing, have the respect that they deserve a good
Yeah.
translation, that they deserve that you thought about the cover, that you thought about how you publish it, how you reach those readers, then I think it's definitely a very hungry market still. It's the third biggest market in the world. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Those are
huge.
really good tips, actually, I think. You
Yeah.
know, not treat it the same as English, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Make sure it's
Yeah.
quality.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's always, I mean, we always want to make sure our books are quality, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Most
making
authors will
sure.
like go with that anyway. But yeah, I think some people lose that sight sometimes when it comes to translations because it is so alien, it is so different, and they don't necessarily see these readers as like their existing community, and so it's a new branch. But what I always tell people, like, look at your sales just now and see where they're coming from, and I'm sure you will have some German readers on there, and that's one way to like figure out if you have multiple series or multiple books, which one to start with. Is just to look at like which of your books or series is currently selling in German, even in English.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people they read in English, and that's only getting more because they now start like English lessons in kindergarten. So, the younger generation they're all more or less fluent.
Yeah.
That's good.
That
Yeah.
is very cool.
It's
Wow.
interesting. It's like that everywhere, I think, in Europe. They
Yeah.
all seem to be
Mm.
very good at that.
Makes you feel a bit guilty, really, doesn't it?
New Zealanders are not good at multiple languages.
No.
Mhm.
No.
So, are there any common mistakes that authors make when going into the German market that you can kind of help us avoid?
Yeah, lots. Where to start?
Yeah.
I mean, I've already mentioned a lot, like not looking at the cover trends. There's also like some people just, or a lot of people automatically assume that your title has to be in German because you're translating your book into German. But actually, if you look at the German books, a lot of them have English titles, or they have mixed titles. They might have like their main title in English and then a subtitle in German, or vice versa. So depending on the genre, it's very possible to take an English title, but it doesn't always have to be your English title. It could also be something else.
Oh,
Talk
that's so
about
interesting.
titles. There's a title protection, so you can't use the title that someone else already has for a German book. Technically, you can if you get written permission, and I've done that for one of my books. It's most of the time, if it's a different genre, like for me, it was a kid's book, and mine was an adult urban fantasy. There is no chance that anyone would get these two books confused. So they were fine with that. It's all just to enhance the reader experience and not make readers confused, which is not a bad thing.
No.
But definitely before you publish, before you talk to your cover designer, research your cover, which is also why it's a good idea to have a pre-order in German, because that way, as soon as your book is up for pre-order, that title is secure and technically nobody else can use it. Now, there are lots of English-speaking authors who don't know that and who will do that, but technically you could sue them and they could be fined for doing that. So, one, I already mentioned the fixed pricing law, that you have to have your price the same across all retailers if you're wide. One other legal requirement is the Impressum. So that's the copyright page. And every book in Germany needs to have one. Again, you can be sued for that, and it's quite a pricey event. It needs to have your name, technically your legal name, and it needs to have your address on there. Doesn't exist just for books. It also for websites and things. It's all for consumer rights. It's basically if there's something wrong with a product, they want to make it really simple for the consumer to contact the producer. Now, for us as authors, that's a bit different because most of us are self-employed little people who don't want their address out there and their legal names. There are ways around that. If you have a registered business or if there's services where you can pay for the right of using their address, for example. But you definitely need that Impressum in your book. Amazon doesn't police it. but Tolino does, and they will push back any book that doesn't have an Impressum. And it's getting more and more important because there's this entire industry developing where people in Germany will look for companies that don't follow these rules and report them and make money with that, which is awful. I mean, but especially with AI, they don't have to do that themselves anymore. They can just have an AI crawl different websites or books, check if they have an Impressum, and then report you. So even though most of us will be thinking, well, we're way too small to be like sued and affected by that. No, this is very much changing now. So that's a very important one. What else is there? Translators, if you have a translator who's based in Germany and therefore German law applies, they technically are the holder of the copyright of your translation, and they then give you the usage rights through your contract, so it always sounds a bit scary that they have the copyright because we're all protective of our property. But as long as you have a contract, they can't do anything with that. You have the usage rights to do whatever you want with that translation. It's just that in German law, they are actually seen as the author. And to be fair, having worked with translators, lots of translators over the years, I get why that is, because it is a creative job. It's not just changing one word to another language. There's a lot of thought that goes into it, a lot of creativity. So that's why in German law, they are the author of that translation, but they give you all the rights for it, which is why always have a contract. I mean, that's, to be fair, in anything with author business, I think that's like, don't do anything without contracts because things will come back to bite you. Unfortunately, I've learned that lesson the hard way. So but if you have a contract, that's easy. You have the usage rights. It's just like with your original, you can do with it whatever you want.
Cool.
Good advice. These are all genius nuggets that I'm.
One more thing that you will see when you go to a German bookshop is that most of the spines are the other way around. So if you do print books in German and you might have an English speaking cover designer, they might not know that either, that the spine are actually the other way around. Also, trim sizes are very different. When I first did German translations, I asked my sister, who lives in Germany, to go to her bookshelf, take 20 books at random and measure them because I was trying to figure out what trim size to use for my German translations. And out of those 20 books, I think she had 16 or 17 different sizes because every publisher more or less does their own thing.
So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. In general, they're smaller, like they wouldn't go for a 6x9, for example, if you count in inches, more the 5x8. But then Tolino doesn't actually support 5x8, so it's different sizes, but there's at least 2 different sizes that Tolino supports that are also in vellum if you use vellum for formatting, so it's easy, you just have to know that. And stuff like that. It's the important thing to research that beforehand before you tell your cover designer to do your 5x8 cover, and then you realize, oh, spine's the wrong way around. It's not actually the same trend, and it's just the wrong dimensions. So yeah, it's
wow.
Can we step back to the spine?
Yes.
And explain what you mean by the other way around?
Yes. Okay, behind me I only have English books, annoyingly. But so here, we have, if I lie the book down with the cover up, you can read the spine. In German, it would now, if you imagine that's the cover, it's the other way around.
Wow.
So it's face down.
Upside down.
Yeah. Okay.
It is loosening up a bit now mostly because of authors doing translations who don't know about that.
Yeah, exactly.
But generally, the spine is the other way around. It's the same in several other European countries too. So it's quite fun to like look at bookshelves and it's all over the place. It's up and down, and then you've got the spines.
Sure.
And
wow.
yeah,
I
if you
did
read in
not know
multiple
that.
languages, they'll go not.
I think that would be quite important if you were actually selling German translated print books, right? Because people want them to look lovely, and they're not going to look so lovely if they're upside down the wrong way around.
Exactly. No, it's one of those things that most people don't really think about because we just assume it's that way because we have been doing this for a long time in many of our cases. So we just have the spine that way.
Yeah.
I don't know why it is that way, no idea, but yeah.
I
How
think
it
that means
started?
that we all have to buy your book.
Yeah.
Yeah. To
I
see
think
what's
that's what
going
that
on.
means.
Yeah.
We don't know what we
I can
don't know.
tell.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Like it is, you don't know what you don't know, and you just kind
Yeah,
of wait on
exactly.
And you
and
just blaze on
assuming it's
thinking you've got it right, and you
Yeah.
actually
Uh-huh.
haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah.
I learned a lot myself, like by really writing it all down and things that I had just taken for granted. I realized not everyone will know this, but also some, oh, I have been doing this wrong the entire time.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's definitely
That
things,
must have
or
been
trends are
interesting.
changing too. Things are always changing and in flux. And so things that were right like a few years ago and German authors were doing them back then, it might have changed by now too, especially with trends always shifting from country to country. And so yeah, it's hard to always stay up to date with everything.
Yeah. Wow. So
Absolutely.
much knowledge. I've learned so
Oh,
much already. I'm tired.
Oh, I'm sorry. And your
No,
day is
it's
only just beginning.
awesome.
It's
It's
great.
Guy's the one who
great.
should be tired. She's
Yeah.
the one late at
Yeah.
night for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is so
Yeah.
late at
It
night.
is so
So
late.
Skye, I feel like we've gotten heaps of information from you this morning or your evening. But I just want, is there just any last bits of information that you think would be of use to our listeners who, if they're thinking of diving in or they're trying to make their German translations better or yeah, make more sales?
Um, don't be scared. I feel like I've been saying like a lot of things that people might not always know, and it's all very overwhelming. But I think just do it step by step. Take it slow. Um, it's not a race.
Yeah.
If you don't publish your translation this month, it might be next month, but just take that time to just do all the footwork, and to get all your ducks in a row. Um, it's much better to like do it slowly and with all the information instead of then realizing you've made a mistake and having to do it all over again. And I'm definitely speaking from experience here,
Yeah.
because I get excited and want to do everything at once. And then I realize actually, if I'd only stepped back a bit and thought about this first, it would have probably been easier and
Yeah.
taken less time in total.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think enjoy it. You're, on one hand, you're a new author in that market if you start with translations, because yes, some people might know your English books, but for a lot of people who only read in German, you're a completely new author.
Yeah.
And that's always a fun experience. It's a bit
Yeah.
daunting too, but it's also you can reinvent yourself and you now have that knowledge that you didn't have when you started with English books. So you now know how a newsletter works, you know how social media works, you know how to format a book, you know all these things. So yes, you might not have the audience yet, but you have all that knowledge that you've gained in the past. So I think as a positive, more positive note than like be careful.
Yeah.
It's like think about all the things you already know and that you have. You have the software, you have the knowledge, you might have the connections, you already know some good cover designers or, other people who might have been doing this. And yeah, that's one thing, like work with other authors. And I've got a German Facebook group for translations where we share a lot of information and people are really generous with sharing there. And so it's all about the working together and yeah, just having fun with it.
It is a great group.
So what's the
Thank
name
you.
of that Facebook group? If someone wants to try to go and join that.
It's Marketing German Indie Book Translations,
Okay.
I think.
Cool.
I changed the name
Yes.
at some point and I keep getting
Something along
confused.
those
But yeah,
lines.
Marketing German
I'm
Indie
sure
Book
You'll
Translations.
find it
we
if
can
you
maybe
just put
put it in
those
the
words
show
in.
notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a link to it. And so so obviously we want people to go out and buy your book because I can see just by your depth of knowledge that is going to be a gem. I can see it on your shelf there. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful
it's
title.
huge.
Cover. I love that cover.
It is like more than double the length the previous one was, and that was like
Wow.
in small font. You should see the large print. It is a murder weapon, basically.
So,
Not that
so
I'm
is
encouraging
that
anyone.
yeah. Is that available on all the normal platforms or
All the normal
you've got it in
platforms.
your
You can also
store?
get it in my store, if you want to buy direct. Yeah, it's just called Self-Publishing in German. Super easy. And it's got like there's a resources list in there. There's discount codes for different providers. So yeah, I had lots of fun persuading companies
Yeah.
to give discount codes
Oh,
because
well done, you.
I love a
Yeah.
voucher and yeah.
So
That's awesome.
SkyeMacKinnon.com, is that where we go?
It's SkyeMacKinnon.com. If you want the author specific stuff, it's SkyeMacKinnon.com/authors. And that's where you find the book. You find basically anything about me, booking consultations if you want to go in depth with like a one-to-one. If you just want to have a chat, just follow me on Facebook. That's the platform where I'm most around because technically I'm everywhere, but there's just, but same thing that we've been keeping repeating. There's never enough time. So yeah, I'm a
No.
bit old-fashioned and sticking with Facebook rather than Threads and all the other ones.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Awesome.
Okay. And who knows where we can be found? Wendy?
Me? Righto.
Yes.
SpaGirlsPodcast.com. I think people probably know that by now. Everywhere with Spa Girls. Come and see us on. We're everywhere pretty much. Insta, Facebook, and Patreon. If you want to join our Facebook group, Spa Girls Podcast, where we have lots of chats and you can buy us a coffee.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to everyone. Thank you to Skye for joining us today. We've really appreciated all your
Yeah, it was
knowledge
awesome.
on translations. It's been fantastic. And thank you to all of our listeners for listening to another episode of the Spa Girls podcast. Super happy to have you here, and we will see you again next time. Bye.
Keep well. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.